Semiij quickly getting the first hit with that down 3.
That is a great way to start off, as most tremors like to start out with that forward 1 oppression. And stopping it early, low profile, is the biggest weakness of this character. And one of the queens of the low profile, Melina herself.
Just trying to get those.
Or, sorry, Empress. Empress of the low profile herself.
That's okay. I'm going to let that slide because I actually despise this character inside and out. So I'm going to... It's alright, man.
This character has sent the trigger shockwaves across Florida. Oh, I know!
This character makes me sweat just watching. But here we go, Semiij. As we talked about before, lightning fast gameplay once he gets started. Semiij, all the jump in punch shenanigans that he has to offer.
Do not try to anti this man. It will go very poorly for you. Get the flash parry on the dagger. Good reaction from Jarruhd to start round number 2.
The big issue here, and was not expecting that. Now that was good, but he could have gotten way more damage off of that.
Yep, if he'd have simply confirmed into the overhead rock, launcher starter.
Throws him out of the corner. Interesting to see him get that kind of damage, but do not jump on Semiij, let alone Melina as a character. Very nice by Semiij, knowing that he's ready to try and grab him out. But Jarruhd Johnson's playing surprisingly well. He just needs to stop Semiij from this anarchy that is his pressure.
And Semiij having to respect the plus frames there. Jarruhd recognizing that. And go with the throw.
Flex is still in play. Oh, there goes the flex. Can he make something happen? Armor goes away.
Doesn't hit Semiij. But gets the throw, gets the positioning here.
Wait a minute. Jarruhd Johnson needs to keep his composure, really. You know, he knows that Semiij, everyone should pretty much know how Semiij plays at this point, being able to see him day in and day out, each and every stream. But at the same time, Semiij is so good at adapting and switching up his gameplay. Misses the hit confirm. That could have been huge damage.
Semiij pressing a button, that is a no-no. That's a 6-frame forward 1 coming right there, buddy.
And Flex is in play.
Oh, but too many hits there.
So smart by Semiij going with that string to blow up the EX Flex. And the tricky running under down 2 to confuse him on which side to break. Now, here's the thing. Semiij closed that out, but Jarruhd Johnson did play that very well.
That was close.
I don't suggest Jarruhd Johnson switching the character. I think he should go right back into it, stick with Flexoline Tremor, and see what happens.
He goes right back into it. Oh.
It's a smart move. It is a smart move, in my opinion.
Sitting on Crystalline, but he's probably thinking through some of the stuff that happened.
Yeah.
Thinking what he could do differently in certain situations.
I'm one of the biggest advocates of taking the time to think about what you did wrong and what you can do differently. Whether it's online, offline, exhibition sets, casuals, doesn't matter.
Or he's sending Semiij hate mail. We will never know. We will never know.
That would be so cool to see that too. I never even thought about that. That's actually great. I like that.
Spammer! Scrub!
You combo spammer. Just sitting here, just trying to get something to go. Very nice tech. Oh, getting the first hit with the down 4. Tremor's down 4. Super plus on block. Here we go, just trying to go with some pressure. I think that's the best way to handle this situation. He's been doing really well.
Fantastic.
Going 1-2 into Crystal Blast cancels.
His defense has been outstanding to start us off, and just as I say that, finally gets opened up with the throw.
And Semiij just moving on back here, forcing Jarruhd Johnson to run in and get impatient. Oh, and gets flipped. There we go, Flex is in play. Oh, no punish. That's actually a punish if you're Tremor.
And this time gets the damage off that setup.
And there you go, down 1 into the 4-1, guaranteed on hit.
I think
Jarruhd Johnson still playing very well.
I think Semiij is just trying to build some meter with that roll, because we never see this man wake up roll.
Oh, that would have been so clean if he got the EX cancel. You know, Semiij doing what he does best, getting some beautiful damage into the corner. God, Semiij, dude, these hit confirms, man. From any hit, we're talking at least 32%. Right there, we saw it.
He's had some savage reversal throws so far in this match.
You're so much fun.
That's something to mix up to your opponent when they're respecting some kind of check on any kind of negative frame situation. It's just simply reversal throw.
And it's really hard to react to this, especially if you're Jarruhd Johnson. There's just so many other options that Molina brings to the table that it's hard to react to those grabs. But especially as Ethereal, when you're playing against Ethereal, you have to keep in mind of those grabs. Keep it in the back of your head. Down 3, eating the flex there. Oh, that would have been so clean. And just another, that was pretty much chipping itself. Semiij now up 2-0 on Jarruhd Johnson. Jarruhd Johnson still managing to take a round. This isn't really 100% a blowout. He just needs to make a few adjustments if he wants to put himself on that scoreboard. But needless to say, Semiij has put this man on his deathbed, so he needs to do something or he'll be eliminated here in the top 16.
And Jarruhd Johnson, throughout this season, if he continues this consistency, could still be around towards the end. Consistency definitely pays off in any kind of point system series. Trying to start things off the down 4 and if Semiij gets the first bar, now he's got 2 fades to work with.
And that's really, especially as Ethereal Molina, that's what you want to get out of Tremor's pressure. Use that EX phase shift in your favor. And the standing tune, the EX phase is so tricky. Expecting to be grabbed out of that. Jarruhd Johnson with the patience. Just taking his time, waiting for the right moment. Switch position. Here comes the corner pressure. Unfortunately, this is the flash parry. That could have actually really put him in a better spot to win this round. Oh, and clips him with the overhead. Jarruhd Johnson just trying to lay it all out on the line. Now wait a minute. Jarruhd Johnson has the meter, will Semiij. And just like that, doesn't go for the block breaker, and Semiij stealing that round away.
I will cut a hole in you.
Semiij sitting on set point to comfortably sit in his chair in not only top 8, but yet a safer spot in first place in number of seeding points.
Yeah, he's trying to build on that gigantic lead that he has and not watching his toes there. And what looked like a made teabag was actually just a buffer on the flex.
Semiij, contrary to the character he picks, is a very nice guy. We'll rarely even see a fatality, let alone a teabag. With his casual down 3 to pretty much end every single match.
And took the risk there was Jarruhd and doesn't want to come off this bar.
He still has that X-ray if he chooses to lay it all out on the line.
It's getting close. That health
the
lead.
Flash parry is more important.
And
there you go.
Comes off all 3 bars anyway, but does take the round.
Can't hate on him. Got the round just like he wanted to. Slowly just trying to build some meter. Very nice grab. Grabbing Nava. You rarely see people do that against Semiij. Just taking his time. Building some meter. 4-1-2-1 into the rock hand. He's doing very well. Gets it down 4 for the pressure. Starting to look a little bit more unstoppable. Semiij had the break. Does not want anything else to do with Jarruhd's momentum. And you see Jarruhd Johnson using that down 4 to his advantage here. I mean, he's just chipping away.
Oh, and look at the chip, and all of a sudden, Jarruhd Johnson, a breath of life here.
That's interesting how he went from getting spaced out and getting just opened up with all these gimmicks to now grabbing him out of his phase shift. And more or less, he's been using that down 4 perfectly to give him that edge to be able to start pressure. He took a game off Semiij. which is more than what we could say for a lot of the competitors. Semiij usually ends up with a little bit of a steamroll, but Jarruhd Johnson is not ready to give up. Very interesting. I mean, Jarruhd Johnson, it could be our next star boy here. We just have to wait and see what happens. But Semiij cannot count this man out. The absolute contender for one of the best in the Kombat Cup, regardless of what season you talk about. See now Semiij going for a little bit more staggers, trying to throw off Jarruhd Johnson's timing. Just taking his time down forward, getting that pressure going into the plus range.
And these staggers from Semiij so deadly right now. With a little bit of a spike. Puts himself in the corner.
Jarruhd Johnson making sure he has at least enough meter to break if he does get clipped.
And what string was that?
What was that? I don't even know what that was. Just taking his time here. Semiij slowly chipping him out. Jarruhd Johnson just getting caught with pretty much everything, and chip damage should do it, and just gets ran into a standing 2.
And he's got another match point on deck.
Round 2. Fight.
Apparently Semiij here using forbidden Melina strings, but it's okay, this man's comfortable.
I'm trying to figure out what strings these are. He's pulling out all the tricks in the book. Very nice hit from getting as much damage as he possibly can. 24. Down 1 in the up rock. A very interesting choice. Oh, and that is tough. Doesn't have enough stamina to break. Opting to just eat out the little bit extra damage.
And catches Semiij, throwing that a little too early.
Next hit will do it. He'd be able to take this next round.
Semiij believed that he
Havoc
came off the rest of his meter. Now Jarruhd's gonna have the meter lead going into another round, and Semiij has had 2 match points,
Final round. Fight.
and he has not played comfortably in either of them.
Very nice choice by Semiij. Trying to keep him in the corner as much as possible because Semiij does not want anything to do with corner pressure, but Jarruhd Johnson insists on getting that started. You see now Semiij is getting a little bit more patient, trying to block those down 4s and trying to punish accordingly. And it is just a fight for the corner here. Jarruhd Johnson not out of this just yet, but Semiij, all the room in the world to just kind of back up, build as much meter as he wants. Just taking his time.
Oh, for once, Semiij not confirming the jump in, but gets the unblockable command grab.
Alright, so he has EX flex up now, so he does not take chip damage.
Even
by the 4-2.
and that's gonna do it. He has no breaker.
And that is just unfortunate. And the Semiij special, the down 3 to close it out.